Liberals, NDP, and Bloc vote in favor of increasing the carbon tax. This is the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the system, never going home. I'm in love.
All right, last week of September, the Liberals, NDP, and Bloc parties voted together to triple the carbon tax in a vote of 206 to 116 on Wednesday. That's not going to win any of them any favors come January when the price of fuel goes up. Pierre Skippy Polivier of the opposition has made a motion and a plea basically to scrap the tax hike in response to increased cost of living. And of course, they ignore him because they can, because they're in power and he's not. And they don't like him because he's very scrappy and goes after them. He was saying the costly coalition of Trudeau Singh voted to triple the carbon tax on gas, heat, and groceries. And that's true. The minute you put a carbon tax on fossil fuels, it has a domino effect. It starts with a farmer who's got to use fossil fuels for his tractors and the heavy machinery to grow the food and then to ship it to the local processing plants or wherever it goes. They in turn have to do all the stuff with all the machinery that does emit carbon, and then they have to ship it to the supermarkets, where again it's the same thing, and all the way down to the normal worker who has to drive to work. I have to drive to work. What am I going to do? Sell my house? Uproot my kids to move closer to where I work? And also there's no housing around where I work, so I'd still have to drive there, because riding a bike in January is not fun. And also to live closer to where I work would also be in a less desirable neighborhood. I have no intention of living in the EOA. So it's currently at $50 a ton, and it's gonna go up by $15 every year, reaching $170 by 2030. I personally see the carbon tax as nothing more than a tax grab. It doesn't go into anything that's going to help affect the environment. People are going to have to pay it because they're forced to. So according to a report from the Fraser Institute, suggests that the carbon taxes around the world fail to benefit the environment or the taxpayers. So it doesn't help anybody, and that's what I think. It's just a tax grab to help raise money for your programs that you want. Big government, more big government. So according to the recent carbon pricing in high-income organization for economic cooperation and development, OECD countries, the biggest reason why carbon taxes are not efficient globally is because many countries simply use carbon taxes to raise revenue. 74% of carbon tax revenues go directly into general revenues for governments with no specific use. Only 12% are earmarked for environmental spending, and 14% are returned to taxpayers. That's basically what it is. Most of the money from the carbon taxes goes into helping fund other things. And it doesn't succeed in cutting emissions within Canada. People still got to drive to work. People still want to go have fun somewhere. Look at Trudeau. He jets around all over the place. His trips on his own private jet use up more emissions, carbon emissions, than any normal person. And when you bring in more immigrants and the population increases, you increase the amount of emissions we make. Simple math. With rising inflation and the cost of living, raising taxes is not a good way to go about doing things. So currently, because of the Trudeau government, we're now $1 trillion in debt. Now, I understand that during the pandemic, the government had to spend money to make sure Canadians didn't lose their homes. So I completely understand that. But now that we're out of the pandemic, the deficit this year is around $60 billion, which is not good. And if you look at the world debt clock, we are sitting at $1.1 trillion in debt. Each Canadian owes, the debt per citizen is around 32,000 Canadian. 3 years ago, it was only at 26,000. So it has gone up. If I had money and could write a check for 32 grand and pay off my debt, then I wouldn't have to pay taxes. That would be great. It doesn't work like that. So with raise in interest rates, the interest number will get worse. So Liberals will be on the hook to push through expensive NDP-favored big government programs. The Trudeau government will be searching for new ways to tax Canadians to deal with the nation's burgeoning credit card bill. So reckless spending has created a situation in Canada where they have to raise taxes. They don't know how to pay for them. The carbon tax is one of them, and a wealth tax is another. Wealth tax is not a good idea either, because it still falls upon the ordinary person to pay for them. Because the wealthy people, if they want, they can always go somewhere else. It also hurts investment in our country. Why would you want to invest in a tax-ridden country like Canada when you can easily go into the States and invest for much cheaper? Or some other country. Vietnam is very attractive to people right now as investment. So I, for one, do not want to see increases in our taxes, but it's going to happen regardless because of who we have in power. Would the Conservatives have done any better? So this is what we have to look forward to next year. Higher gas prices. And with a war in Russia, Ukraine, with the Russians playing games with the price of fuel, it's only going to get worse. I, for one, cannot wait for the 2025 election. Hopefully it comes sooner than that. Anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think about the carbon prices rising. Leave comments in the comment section. Until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the